Achieve success with global.media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with global.media.com. Then celebrate it with or without champagne.
Oops. Just took myself out of the picture. Are we live? Are we live? Yes, we are. Oh boy. And we're actually on time. Look at that. That's so strange. No technical difficulties so far. Fingers and toes crossed. Oh my goodness. Oh shucks. And you didn't get time to have your tea then? Back-to-back shows. Yeah, I think everybody has said, well, okay, mine is iced tea because the sun is still out and killing me. So yeah, I know you all are having cold weather, but no, I'm sweating bullets.
We don't really do iced tea in the UK.
Well, you don't need to. I mean, it's always so cold.
No, even in summer we drink hot tea. We love hot tea. We just drink hot tea always.
Always.
Heat wave, we're drinking tea. I'm drinking tea. It cools us down, we tell ourselves. Apparently it does. Does it?
It does, yeah. These sweats, yeah. If you sweat, it cools your body down, takes the heat away. So
Anyway, welcome. So our friends are here. Your friends are here. So welcome. Charito is here, apparently. Yeah, no, Charito is
wow,
here.
at 5 a.m. her time. That's amazing.
Natalie, thank you for joining us as always. So Christy, great to see you. We've got Kelly here, the hair expert.
Yes.
You're here. Thanks so much for joining us. Pepperoni, we see you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, caramel coffee, my goodness.
Caramel. Who's caramel?
What do you mean?
Pepperoni.
Yeah, she's having a caramel coffee. Oh, you haven't reached that comment as yet. I'm reading ahead. Sorry.
Okay, all right. Now, I wasn't looking at what they were saying. I was just looking at who's here.
Oh, yeah.
Kenny's grace now.
Daddy, Kenny's here. Oh my goodness. I feel like a star now.
He's a sugar daddy, Kenny. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
That means so many different things. He bakes cheesecakes. That's why he's a sugar daddy, nothing else.
Other people's sugar daddy, not mine. And just say what they call him, right?
Oh, that doesn't make it any better. That explanation was worse.
It makes me feel better. That's the important thing, right? Superstar Harry is here as well. So on your post,
wow. Voila.
Thank you so much, Harry, for being here. Superstar. Yes. What you say? Lovely, all your different accents. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes.
Sugar Daddy Kenny and his red carpet entrance. It
international show.
So there you go. Anyway, I'm gonna hide now. So
yeah, you can hide for a bit.
Just make sure you know I'm gonna take myself off stage because I'm that way.
Yes, I know. That's all right. I'm accustomed. So welcome everyone to another show where we talk about some aspect of menopause. And today we are going to have such an interesting conversation because we are blessed to have the one and only Leah Garcia, financial guru. I know you call yourself a financial strategist, but you're a guru. Princess Leah is here. We are going to have so much information coming at us. Oh my God. I think we need to do a part 2 for sure. So what I will do, I don't know why Annie left because he has to introduce himself. I'm going to give everyone 2 minutes to let the people know who you are and what you do, and then we'll start the conversation. So Leah, you could go first.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to see all of our amazing friends here. Oh my gosh, and Kenny, I still don't like cheesecake, but that's okay because it's Taco Tuesday, so it's not required. And of course, Bella, Miss Noni, and so many other of our friends. I'm actually going to learn to do a cartwheel in honor of Miss Noni Baroni, just so you know, because she says she's going to do a backflip and do some cartwheels. So my name is Leah Garcia, financial strategist and insurance professional. And I serve entrepreneurs and enterprises, and I specialize in helping them to properly protect, distribute, and transfer their wealth so they can build a legacy and create generational and multi-generational wealth. I call it flipping the script and our upgrading our money mind shift. We have to shift our thinking when it comes to money. We've already had enough generational poverty. I say now it's time for us to have generational prosperity. You know, I believe that every one of us, to a person, if you're on this event or you know me or you've spoken with me, I believe that you're the one in your family to change your family's last name forever. And I don't care where you started from. I don't care how much money you think you have or how much money you think you don't have. We can all change our family's last name forever and create our family dynasty. So I'm excited about this conversation. I have a passion to talk and speak with women, and especially when it comes to women in menopause. There's so many aspects of finances that bleed over and to our health as we are evolving, and I say getting better, right? We're not getting older, we're getting better like that fine wine. So hand it back to you, Miss Lisa.
Thanks. Paulette, you could go ahead and hopefully Annie joins us back on stage.
Well, I'm Paula Hallam. Many of you know me already from being on this show for many times and others. My voice is a bit cracky today because I've just done a 2-hour stint. I'm really, I've retired. I'm a children's author. I specialize in dealing with children who have anxiety or any kind of issue that makes them feel different. And I'm the voice for those children. And the books I write are to give those children the support they need when they feel like they haven't got any. So really, that's what I do. I was a businesswoman, retired, became a children's counselor, and then retired from that, and then started writing books because I thought I can't reach all the children by spreading myself into lots of little pieces. So by writing books, you can reach thousands. So we are reaching thousands, and it's a lovely thing to be able to say. We are really reaching some numbers now, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to admit out loud and say it and be proud. And we will get there. We will get there. And if for every child that gets the book, once they're finished with it, get them to pass it on, because it doesn't have to be new for them to get the benefit. So now I'm concentrating on putting books in libraries, and it's looking like it's happening in great many number of places in America now, and it will be nationwide in UK. So it's going to be a big project. I've got to raise a lot of money, but I'm getting there. And to think that every library will have those books in it, so that parents don't have to buy them. This was never about me making money. This was always about me helping the children. And so it's a lovely thing, and I'm incredibly proud of it. And I'm using my therapy hat today for Lisa, but I'm also using my life hat for Lisa. And for anybody who has anything that, you know, I can help them with, I'll chip in wherever I can. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Paulette. And I know you just had a show talking about children and all the issues that they're dealing with. I mean, so I'm so happy that you could just jump from that show to be here with us for another probably 2 hours. So thank you so much. Annie, my friend, for the few people who don't know who you are, introduce
I might as
yourself.
well speak, otherwise I know you're going to carry on calling me. After
Yeah.
this, I can sit down and pretend I'm not here. Joni, I see you. Welcome. I don't know what your bad news is. Joni's asking you a question, Paulette. Do you guys have little libraries at the end of driveways? No. We have big libraries in the middle of nowhere, basically. No, I'm glad you're here. Who else did you see? Nick, welcome as well. Welcome. Glad you're here, of course.
Did you see Ashif? Ashif was here.
Yeah, I put his name up earlier.
Oh, okay.
His message is useful. It says, "Let's talk." Generational Prosperity says Nick, and then you have Coach Ashif who talks about. I can't not talk about Miss Leah, Queen Leah's dislike for cheesecake. She doesn't like cheesecake. I don't know why. I got Kenny's recipe and made my own cheesecake. Several times. So we love Kenny's cheesecake. They're bad for your health, Queen Leah. So of course I want to eat a whole load of that stuff. That's no. What is caramel thing? Caramel taco. No, caramel coffee lady. Oh, there's no that's a taco thing. Taco Tuesday champions. I don't know what that is. It's a US thing. It missed us by, Queen Leah. It missed us by completely. Coach Ashif, hello friends. Let's talk. Yes, do connect with Coach Ashif for sure. Do have a conversation. No, everything works from having conversations, right? So thank you for being here. What can I say about me that I haven't said already today? I'll say it again anyway, right? Yeah, so my joy comes from publishing people's books. Now, Paulette's books, for example. So, but maybe my other joy really is in helping people to achieve immortality, build a legacy. Yeah, that's a way. I make you famous. That way, people know about you till the end of their lives and more. How do I do that? So now Friday. So we made our latest author an international best-selling author with 14 categories that he won on Amazon and 17 awards in total. So 3 hot new releases. That's Coach David. If you got a book, my friends, if you got a book, then let's make you a bestseller. It's a guaranteed service. As long as your book is half decent, then we'll get people to buy your book, to win your categories, and give you that badge for the rest of your life. Of course, Lisa is an international personal author already, several times over. All in the last year, Lisa, right? So that's amazing. So we'll kind of help you write your book as well. So do join us. So do get in touch with me if you want to get help to write your book, finish your book. That's for editors, cover designers, and so on. And then publish your book, and then sell your book. That's my joy in life. I'm only here to press buttons, so I just keep pressing buttons in the background. So, Dr. Tanya, welcome. I'm glad you're here as well. Thank you so much. Lisa, can I sit down now?
For a bit, yes. Take a load off for a bit.
For 6.5 hours.
Yes, I know. Yeah, today was a busy day for you. So you can have a seat.
Thank you.
Go have some tea. Oh dear. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lisa Favek. I'm a dietitian. As Annie said, I'm an author. And I know I'm forgetting what else do I do. I'm a coach and an educator when it comes to women's health issues, but I really focus on that menopausal journey because in many countries, many place societies, we don't talk about menopause enough. There's not enough awareness, education surrounding menopause, not enough research. So my purpose, my passion is to be the voice for women who feel like they have no voice, who feel like they don't have people who understand or support them. So that's what I do. And part of that is by having LinkedIn Lives every other Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, where we discuss some aspect of menopause. And you may be thinking, okay, well, how is finances tied into menopause? That doesn't make sense. I know about the hot flashes, I know about the symptoms, but when we're talking financial wellness, what does that have to do with midlife and menopause? And that's a good question. It's a question I came to Leah with about a year ago, maybe a little more, when we first met, because I heard her on other stages, and I wanted to know, okay, well, how can we help women going through menopause where they may be dealing with their own health issues, because menopause raises our risk for things like diabetes and heart disease, which means we need to do more blood tests, more lab work, go to the hospital more, and each time is a cost attached to that. We may have children who are living at home, who we still have to support. We may have aging parents who we need to support, which means more medical bills, or we may need to pay for them to be in a home, a care home. We may be considering changing jobs. We may find that our current job doesn't support us as we're going through menopause, so we're looking for maybe a side hustle or to change jobs altogether. that has a cost attached to it because we may have to dip into our savings while we transition. We may be looking at extra training, which means, again, another cost. So I wanted to find out from Leah, well, where do we start? What do we start looking at? For a lot of women, the man is the head of the household and the man is taking care of our finances. But if something happened to that person, what is left for us to do? So Leah, let's start with, you talked a little bit when we were off camera about that psychology of where the mindset should be. So I think we should start there.
Yeah, you brought up so many great points. So yeah, where is that mind shift? So we've been taught that a few things like money doesn't grow on trees, only I was taught like only stingy people are wealthy, snobby people are wealthy. So it's really embracing that we have to upgrade our stinking thinking. We have to embrace that we can't be pushing away money and then secretly wishing for money. And this is what I mean by that. So many times people tell me, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a solopreneur, I'm a business owner, I'm getting up early, staying up late, especially as women. And we're also juggling the kids and the household and all of those things. We're working hard. Most businesses that were started in the past few years were by women. And so if we understand that, but we're working so hard, but then we say things like, you know what, I don't need to have a lot of money. I just want to be comfortable. I don't want to have all this money because however you're feeling about it, we have to step into that and receive. And if you don't want to keep it in your pocket, then give it away to somebody. There are many, many organizations. Miss Paulette has an incredible organization. If you don't know Jack and Walter, you need to get to know Jack and Walter. So many people are looking for donations and so many philanthropic endeavors that you could donate your money to. And so when we start to embrace that, then we start to have the flow because money is currency. So if we're living in lack and scarcity and we're holding on to it and we're squeezing every single penny, then that's not wealth. That's called stress. And one of the biggest strains on our health is stress. So we can start to live in abundance by pouring into others. Find an organization that you believe in. Maybe start your own nonprofit or create your own foundation. But money is meant to be flowing and current, right? So that's just what a few thoughts that come to my mind is that if we're working so hard, then we have to receive to be paid for what we're worth, right? We're doing it to receive wealth. But if at the same time we're constantly saying we're pushing it away and we don't want it and that's too much, I see this a lot with my women entrepreneurs. And I love all you women entrepreneurs. There's a lot of you on here and hopefully this isn't you. But oftentimes I will hear my female entrepreneurs and they will say, when it comes to collecting the money, when it comes to collecting the check, they feel a little uncomfortable about it. They feel apologetic. They automatically start to discount their fee. It was going to be this fee, but their friend looks a little bit, sad. And so they immediately drop it down. And so what is that doing? You're undermining yourself. So hopefully that's a good start there. I don't know. I could just keep going on all day, but I want to hear from the panel. I want to hear from all of you also. What are your thoughts about all of this?
Yeah, I think that's a great place to start. I had a coach that used to say, money is just an exchange of energies, because it's an exchange for services. And if you value your service, you have something great to bring to the table, then that's just an exchange for that service that you're giving. And I have a lot of clients who have this mindset surrounding money where yes, they want it, they know it's important, but as you said, asking for it, knowing what they're worth, and then, okay, well, if you're not asking for it, then how are you going to plan for when you need it? When you need to pay for that health service, when you need to take care of your parents, where's that money going to come from? So I love where you started, and I know Paulette and Annie must have some thoughts surrounding that. So let me pass the mic to them. Paulette, go ahead.
I think there's two things here. women in most cases, and please don't be offended, men in the room, but women in most cases are the nags, the moaners, the spenders, unless it's a big thing, like, you know, cars and stuff like that. But, you know, generally it's the decision makers, the bearers of every problem and the brunt of all that's wrong. We have a pretty rough ride, right? We also have all the plumbing, right? We were born with all the plumbing. So that means we get all of the menopause, all of the change, all of the bearing children, dare I say that. So we get an awful lot of stuff that hits us that perhaps doesn't hit the men. Then we go on to say, financially, when we give up work for looking after our families, what stress that puts on the family. Did we plan for it? I hear people say to me, if you plan for a child, you'll never have one. Right? What does the hair say?
What sauce would you like?
Oh, anything.
Mm.
Sorry, I got asked what I wanted on my chips. Don't think you heard that. So I said I needed some food. I've not eaten since 3:30. So the thing that I believe is that when we are responsible for so many things in the household, we also have to do the planning. And I know that's harsh to put another thing on us and to take another thing off of our partners, but somebody has to take let's get this round the right way, the bull by the horns. Yes, that's right. I didn't want to say it the wrong way round, but you have to take the bull by the horns. Yeah, you can laugh, Annie. It's been known. The point is, if you don't make a start, you never will. And I'm afraid to say lots of chaps are always putting off. And lots of women are very good at saying, no, we've got to sit down and talk about it. And so I think that what we're getting here is a crossover of two things. One, it's the female having to take the lead again. But okay, if somebody has to, let's do it. I actually don't care who it is, as long as someone does. And I think that there has to be, I don't mean a leader, because that sounds like you're sort of in charge, but I think there has to be somebody who's willing to say, what are we going to do about the future? How are we going to plan for our retirement? How are we going to plan for when I'm not able to work because of X, Y, and Z? We're going to have a child. What are we going to do about it? What about our elderly parents? What about this? What about that? There's 101 what abouts. But if we don't talk about it, and that comment that we keep saying, let's talk, it's so true, you know? So sometimes, I'm sorry, yes, women, it is us that have to say, let's talk, let's have that conversation, and let's plan, because I never expected to retire at 52. I had no choice. I was too ill to work. So that's the truth of why I retired. You know, it wasn't because I was earning so much I didn't want to work anymore. Trust me, guys. We hit a wall and that was it. You know, I would have carried on working for at least another 5-6 years. I believe I had it in me. But then I was too poorly and that was the end of it. So, you know, we can't plan for those eventualities, but what we can do is make it easier, that if something comes out of the woodwork and knocks us sideways, we've got a plan because we sat down and did it. So that's my thoughts.
Amazing, Paulette. No, look, I want to refer to Ari's amazing comments. No, truly, that's the truth. That we've already had enough generational poverty. And that is just fact, right? And that's what I would not let happen. Look, I'm in andropause. Lisa tells me this every day. I'll take it, whatever. Can you see? Looking at my hairy head proves the point, right? But before I come to the point, let's welcome Michael. I see you, Michael. I'm not sure I welcome Joni. Joni, thanks for joining us. Henry, thank you also for being here. Yeah, so always thoughtful conversation, important topics. Thank you so much. Michelle B, thank you for joining us. We just finished our show, but you're here as well. Have I missed anyone out? I don't think I have. No, Satisari. Thank you. I don't know if I pronounced your name wrong or right. I didn't destroy it too much. Look, I don't know. The money conversation, Queen Leah, it's always a weird one with people, right? People have this strange idea that money is evil. No, it's not. As Coach Ashley says, money makes the world go round and round and round. The money is necessary. I was talking in a room earlier, and I think someone said we don't need money in retirement. I'm like, you're just wrong. You don't know how much money you need. You need so much more than you can imagine in your mind. The numbers are extraordinary. The point, apart from how much we need, is the fact that we have to start yesterday to build that wealth. When I talk about Leah, I'm talking about building wealth. We started building that wealth yesterday. If you didn't start yesterday, the next best time to start is today. Otherwise, tomorrow is the only other best chance. But you must intentionally build your wealth. And I say I'm always amazed how many people don't seem to realize how you have to be intentional, how you make money and how you how you save money. It's not just making money, it's what you don't do. How much you don't spend on what you make is your wealth, people, right? That's one end of it. We need to build that wealth. Now, how old am I? Old. Now, but believe you me, my friends still tell me now, at 16, you're an old man, Emmy. I was. Because I stayed at school, I was studious, I didn't go out, I didn't have a social life there. Okay, a bit of social life, but I was working to make sure these days my adulthood will be a joy. And then I think in 2016, when I started investing in my retirement. My joy the other day when my financial advisor told me, Annie, you're gonna have more than you ever earned in your retirement every month. I'm like, that's the talk I want to have with you, my friend. Now it's worked. See, that doesn't happen by accident. It happens. I've had to invest loads of money. So my wife and I, we've invested in properties. We've worked every single day. That's since we could, 16 really. And still we've got to keep finding new ways. I run my own business, and I need to make more money to make sure I really am as secure as I want to be. Because every day you live post-retirement costs money. In the UK, we have free healthcare, so we can be a bit lackadaisical. In the US, healthcare destroys everyone in the end. Think of that. Sorry, I'm laughing at you. I'm not right. It's funny for Keely and wasn't funny, ha. But literally, you must focus on building that wealth. You must. If it's so sad when people get to those old ages and then suddenly realize that they can't make any more money than they've already got. That's a tragedy. But I'm sure Queen Leah will tell us it's a choice we make. It's a choice we're making today. For what you don't do today will come back and bite us in good time. Start building that wealth, and get your mindset right around money. Money is not the problem. Maybe the love of money is evil. I agree with that. But deep down, we need to find. We need to get to love. It's so hard to explain. A typical African, as I many of that I know, they have $100, Leah. They have $100, and they're like, I better hold on to that money for dear life. I better not spend it, because if I spend it, it's gone. What they don't seem to realize is the point we're trying to make, with Coach Ashley's comment as well. Money is energy. Money, that's not real. Money is a thing that, if you have a good relationship with it, if you have a plan, you can attract more money. You have to attract more money. sometimes you have to spend to attract more money. If you don't, if you haven't got this weird thing about money, oh no, I better not spend it. The chances are you're not going to get any more money.
Mhm.
There's a whole myriad of things that we have to think about when it comes to money. Now, but we must plan how we're going to make money, and then we must plan how we're going to build that wealth. And look, working alone is not going to make you enough money. Sorry, bad news. Number one, it's not. You have to learn to invest your money. When Leah talks about this wall of wealth concept, now when I first met her, I was like, wow, you got it. She knows what she's talking about for sure. She has a plan for everyone, right? Because you have to find a way to make money more than you earn. We must. The danger, you can't keep living and saying, I don't have enough money. I don't know what to do. We know what to do. Yeah, if you don't know what to do, talk to Queen Leah. She'll tell you what to do. That's what she does for a living, right? Let me stop talking.
I like what you shared, Annie, that being comfortable with money, being comfortable with making money. Because we haven't even talked about enjoying your life. What about vacations? Where's that special place you wanted to go? Being able to go out to a dinner or a play or something. We haven't even talked about that part. All of those things have a cost attached to it. So we have to get comfortable with the money conversation. And that's why I'm so glad that Leah is here. Paula talked about having to retire suddenly. And I certainly share that I wasn't planning to be even in the health field. I started off being an electrical engineer. And 2 spinal surgeries later, I was retired, medical, unfit, and now having to plan for medication, plan what my next move was. And, these things happen suddenly. So we have to have a plan for the what-if situation. There's a saying in the Caribbean, I'm not sure if it's any other places, but if you talk about planning for the bad days will come. It's like you're attracting it. And that's something, the old people used to say. So we don't talk about the bad stuff because we'll attract it. No. If you plan for it when it does happen, you're not stressed out about it. Leah talked about the stress. Menopause in itself puts your body under stress. So if we could remove stress where we can, so having a plan for if something happens, if you have to take care of a child that comes back home, if you have to take care of an aging parent, what if, in this economy with the way things are going in America, for example, all of a sudden you could be out of a job. Have you planned for that? Have you planned for, okay, if I need medication and I'm out of a job, what is the next step? In the US, you have to pay for healthcare. Right. Luckily, we fall under the UK system where basic healthcare is free. If we need a specialist, then we have to pay. Right? So everybody's situation will be different depending on where you are in the world, etc., etc. But everyone should have a plan. And if we need to take that by, the bull by the horns and sit with our partner and say, listen, if something were to happen tomorrow, let's be real. What is the plan? What's going to happen to our children? If 2 of us die, what's going to happen to our children? Who's taking care of the kids? What's going to happen to the house? What's going to happen to the car? Because we can say, well, everyone knows the house will belong to the children. You'll be surprised how people come out of the woodwork to want to claim your stuff, and now you have to go to court. Do you have money to go to court? You may be in the right, but the courts take a process and take time. You have to pay for lawyers. Do you have a plan for all of that? So I'm just really happy that, the expert is here, Leah. So, we're talking about planning. If someone hasn't planned anything before, where do they start? What questions do they start asking themselves?
I think Annie had his hand up, but do you want to add something, Annie?
Yeah, very quickly. I'm hoping you can hear us, Queen Leah, or you can help us with this. Lisa, I'm totally with you. I think a lot of people have this fear about wanting to earn more money. this fear of they fear not having enough money. That's the conversation in their head.
Right.
But then they have this fear of the work it takes to actually make money. I think we have to aim for abundance. We don't say those words pointlessly. You have to aim for abundance, because you can have abundance if you choose to.
Yes.
Do you believe? Do you want to do the mental work? And then half of it is mental work, and then you have to do the real life physical work to make sure that money does come in, and you attract it somehow, and it stays with you. So my real question, Queen Leah, is this: I think people don't know. They know, but they bury their head in the sand. I mentioned to you just now that I've got enough money per month when I retire, because I have a number, right? I'm nowhere near retiring, but I'm another 20 years away from that. But I know that the money I have in bank then, every year goes down in value.
Oh.
People don't think of that. Your £100,000 in your pension fund, 10 years, think of that. What's that going to be 20 years later? Much less than 100 grand, I promise you. All sorts of reasons, inflation. Queen Leah, you can hopefully explain it to us. I think, and there's a question from Satya Sri, who says, "What's the relationship with money?" So if you want to address those as well, please, that would be really handy. Tom,
Wow.
from you, thank you, Tom, for being here. Go on, Queen Leah, I'll give you the mic.
Wow, a lot to unpack. I want to circle back, if I can, really quick to what Miss Queen Paulette said, because it was profound. They say men are the head, but women are the neck. I heard this comedian and he told this joke, and hopefully I don't muck it up, but he said, I've been married like 26 years. And when me and my wife got married, we decided that she would make all the little decisions and I would make all the big decisions. And can you believe it? In 26 years, we've never had a major decision. Right? So women makes all the decisions. And I love what you're sharing, Annie, about, you feel like you're safe and secure, which a lot of people do. But let me ask, not just you, but anyone, ask yourself this. If a stock market crash or correction could impact that plan, is that truly a plan? Or maybe are there still some gaps? My one-page financial plan, The Wall of Wealth, I've worked on that for probably over 15 years. So it's not something I just came by, casually. And the reason I developed it was because clients would come to me and I would see these gaps. They had a bunch of money, but they didn't have a plan in case they got sick. They had a bunch of real estate, but when the market crashed, they couldn't get money out to save their loved one because their loved one got diagnosed with a cancer and that experimental treatment was only available in another country or out of their network. So that's how I created the Wall of Wealth, which is my one-page financial plan. It's what your financial guru didn't tell you because they don't have the courage to. They really don't. They want you to make you feel like everything's rainbows and butterflies. But this strategy will actually show you and expose those financial booby traps that are laying down the road in your future if you don't plan for them. So absolutely is that one thing. If you're just starting from nowhere, I would say two things. Number one is pay off your debt, because retirement isn't just about a pile of money. I've seen people retire without debt, and I've seen people retire with debt. And I know you hear a lot of gurus and they say leverage your debt and all of these things. I would say that there comes a point when that is relevant. But for the average person, you need to have your primary residence paid off in cash. No student loans, no credit cards, no car notes. Because if you retire and something happens, like gas prices go up, pandemic, and now you can't get to the places that you need to get to, and you've got to start door dashing and having extra payments. We're not prepared for that. So that's first and foremost, pay down your debt. And if you want to know how you can pay your debt down quickly, I have a lot of tools that we can do that. I help my clients get out of debt in a fraction of the time by mitigating the interest. I think someone in here was talking about paying interest on your debt. Yes, so we have to eliminate the amount of interest that we're paying on our debt, and you will get out of debt in a fraction of the time. Number two, we have to start saving and investing. And you kind of touched on that. If we have $100 and we're just going to hold on to that and squeeze it to death, that's really not going to do anything. But I wouldn't say just spend your money just to spend your money. I would say save and invest your money into your future. Don't be cheap on your future. Don't be looking for bargain basements into your future, because retirement is never on sale. There's never a discount. There's never a coupon that you can have for retirement, because things go up. They increase in price. You know, if you're earning less than probably 8% on your money, you are losing buying power. I talk about the power of the penny. Do you realize that if you took a penny and you doubled it every single day for a year, you would have a number that's too big to quantify? There's no words to tell you what that number is. And so if you have to start with a penny, then you start with a penny, because it's not about how much money you're saving and investing. It is about energetically telling God and the universe that you have abundance. You have this one penny after you've paid all of your bills and expenses, and you're going to invest that into your future. And the next day, do the same thing. And then eventually you're going to realize at the end of the month, instead of having too much month at the end of your money, you're going to start having some extra dollars. And now you start to squirrel away those dollars, because saving and investing is an atrophy muscle in most of us, meaning that we haven't developed it. So if we have not developed it, how can we expect to go run a 30-mile marathon when we've never been to the gym? We've never run a mile. We can't expect that we're going to start saving and investing thousands of dollars and 10% of our income and 20% of our income and paying ourselves first when we don't even have $1,000 in case of an emergency. We have to start somewhere. And when you start to pay yourself first, you are going to see what will happen. Because when we have clutter in our life, when we have clutter even on our desk, what happens? It creates confusion. And that's what most people have in their finances. They have their paychecks over here that they don't even really know how much they get paid because it's direct deposited. They have their credit card statements over here, and they got to open them up. And sometimes they don't even open them up, and they just try to ACH the minimum payment. They have their retirements over here. And right now, if the stock market's going squirrely, they don't even ask their advisor. I have no idea what they have. We have to get everything clear on one page where we can easily reconcile that. We know how much money is coming in. We know how much money is going back. I don't believe in budgets. I think that word should be banned. I talk about a spending plan. What is coming in and what's going out? Where is all of our debt? How much interest are we paying? It's not just, see, people think, I'm going on a tangent here, but you guys got me for it. People think if I can make the minimum payment, that means I can afford it. Okay, no, stop it. Stop it. If you can't afford to write a check for it, you probably cannot afford it. What if you have a job loss? What if now suddenly that interest rate goes from 10% or it was a 0% and now you missed a payment and now it's 24 or 36% interest? So we have to be aware of how much that debt is costing us. And then we got to look at what we have. We got to be realistic with ourselves on what we have in our investments. We have to understand how much risk are we willing to tolerate? See, I believe that we can have wealth without risk. I know we've been taught no risk, no reward. I respectfully push back on that. I teach my clients every single day how they can grow their money, participate in the growth, and never risk their principal. And yes, you can do it wherever you are in the world. There are things that are available. Some things I have are available throughout the world, and some things are only available in the US, but I know you have other strategies there. So really be honest with yourself. If you can't afford, if you can't stomach seeing that balance go down to zero, then it's probably too risky for you. And I'm not saying there's not a place for that, but I'm saying don't have all your money exposed to the stock market. Understand your risk tolerance. And so, I mean, and so those are some places to start. And then also get a coach. You need a financial professional. Listen, getting financially independent is not a DIY project. If we need a new engine, we go to the mechanic. If I need open heart surgery, I'm not going to ask my cousin and my daughter to, figure out what's going on in here. I'm going to find out and research and find the best heart surgeon that there is. And, I would say this to my women, and I love my women. I get a lot of DMs from all of you, from a lot of you, and from a lot of women just in general. And I say this, I implore you, if it is not me find a financial professional, because oftentimes the women is the one that reach out to me, but then they say this, let me get things in order and then I'll come to you. I'm like, no, what are you doing? That is like cleaning your house before the housekeeper arrives. We got to see what it is, because that's really where it's almost like a little roadmap. When I see the mess, then to me, it's like I can start putting in the puzzle pieces. And you might think that you're fixing something that you may be creating a bigger problem. Okay. I've seen this time and time again. So absolutely turn towards a professional. Start somewhere, start interviewing somebody, call somebody and say, you know what, this is if somebody came to you with this problem, what would you tell them? And start learning. So hopefully I know I went on, but you guys got me fired up here. So hopefully that is somewhere where we can start. And I want to hear from all of you. And I see my beautiful Chestas here. Yes, a lot of great stuff here.
Can I say something? Because I think one of the key things that you pointed out there for me, it's about that decision making, but it's also about, as you said, don't be frightened of the mess, because where the mess is, there's usually money, money you've forgotten, bank accounts you didn't know you had, savings accounts you opened that might only have had £100 in them, but you know what? Because they're still there, they've got £50. Nationwide just gave everyone £50, and my account hasn't been used for 2 years, but it had a little bit of money in it, not a lot, about £25, but it was enough to get a £50 bonus. So sometimes what we forget is actually the more mess we're in, the better, because it's clearing that mess down so that everything goes into a funnel, so you know where things are, that you start to find out all these bits and pieces. And I think that was the most important thing for us, was getting a financial advisor, was someone said, right, well, what are we going to do about this, this, and this? And we were like, oh, okay. And, and they say things to you, and I no disrespect, Leah, but some of the stuff's scary. What happens if you're not around? Can we talk about something else? Can we talk about the weather? No, but what happens if you're not around? Okay, well, I'm not around. Charles and Ben will be fine. Okay, what about when Charles meets his new wife? What new wife is this then? Well, the new wife that's going to now have half of your wealth. I'm sorry. The floozy, as she's now been named, we're calling her Floozy. Floozy is now about to have half of my hard-earned wealth, and all the holidays and things that I sacrificed to put money away for our future, she gets to have? I don't think so. What do I need to do to protect it? How do I stop the floozy? Now, on the journey home from that meeting, I will tell you, I didn't speak to Charles. Charles spent the whole journey telling me he doesn't have a floozy, and he's never had a floozy, but it didn't matter. I was in floozy mode, and we were not going to get home he couldn't wait to get through the door, because I was all anti the floozy. But the problem is, they're not conversations that are comfortable. Get used to it, folks, because if you're going to put your money and you're finding out how risk averse you are. I mean, I've never heard that term in terms of my own money. Yes, in business, but not in my own money. How risk averse are you? Oh, I don't know. Well, would you be prepared to lose 40% or 30%? Well, how about none? Well, that's not an option, because none is not going to happen. As Annie says, put the money in the bank, it just goes down in value. So how risk averse are you? Oh, let's say 30%. Okay, well then we'll put, that's the stock exchange market we'll go into. That will cover to that level. But if it grows, we're over the moon. Oh, look at our ISAs, look at our pensions. But if it goes down, I'm sulking. I'm doing a Miss Floozy moment, right? Now that's not fair, because you can't have the wins and the losses. You know, you've got to be fair. It's not his fault. It's just the market. But you know, it's a bit like somebody saying, "Oh, I bought 2 houses. I'm fine for the future." Well, what if the housing market crashes? You know, you have to have your eggs in many baskets, not in one basket. And I think if you've learned anything, I've heard you speak many times, Leah, and I'm a huge believer in everything you say. And I really do believe that we have to listen to what you say. We have to get an advisor. We have to get somebody who can help teach us to spread bet our finances, to take the risk out and to get the maximum growth. So 100% Team Leah.
I love you, Queen Paulette. And I want to just highlight something you said that is really profound that I talk to my clients about. And I don't know how it works in other parts of the world, but in the US, you could have, let's just say, like, you own a house, husband and wife, and then you own it. And when one passes away, it goes to the other one. Well, guess what? Now that surviving spouse gets to make all the financial decisions about where that house gets divided up and how it gets divided up. So if Mr. or Mrs. Floozy comes around and swindles them out of that house, then your children or your grandchildren or your family don't get to participate in the 50% that was rightfully yours. So one of the things I talk about in the US is keep those separate. Her half is her half, your half is your half. And so if somebody passes away, they still only have half of the property, and you make the decision on how your 50% transfers to your children, to your beneficiaries. And that was pure gold. That was a golden nugget. That was a gold bar, Miss Queen. And I just really believe that women carry the feminine force behind the legacy. They really do. I mean, even if you feel like you're not participating in all the financial decisions, if you went to your partner, you went to your spouse and said, you know what, this makes me uncomfortable. I don't feel safe because we have so much debt. You know what's going to happen? He's going to look for some solutions on how to resolve that so that you can feel good and safe. So much wisdom here. And I see we got Joe on stage.
Yeah, have a look at Tom's comments. You don't make any money by leaving it to sit in the bank. It has to continue working for you. Do you agree with that? I'm sure you do, right?
Well, I say I like to have some money available, liquidity. I don't believe in keeping more than, probably for most people, more than 6 months cash liquid in the bank. There's other ways that you can do it, money markets and CDs, things of that nature, to be a little bit more liquid. Because in the US, banks are very much squirrely. Let's put it that way. We've all seen the banks that are thriving and open, and the very next day they're closed. Now what happens? Talk to somebody who had their money in Silicon Bank. I know that we've been told that they were made whole, but I live in the Silicon Valley. I live near the Silicon Valley. I don't know anyone that's received their money. So even though they say they can make you whole, the FDIC says that they can, they're going to guarantee your money. And we could have a whole conversation about that, but this is all I'm going to say, is that they can make you wait up to 10 years to receive your money to make you whole. So even though it's insured for up to $250,000, I would never advise somebody to leave that amount of money. And yes, it is that dormant money. You do need to have some dormant money, but it has to be a balance, right? You need to have that liquidity, but you have to understand, I mean, anything, there's a risk. There's a risk of having dormant money. There's a risk of having high risk money, but understanding that we are understanding what we're risking. This money here is available in case of an emergency. This money here is to save and invest. This money's here to grow and to be into your future. So that's a great question, Annie.
Let's go to Joni. Joni.
Before Joni jumps on, I just wanted to piggyback on what Leo was saying. I know, and this is again depending on the household that you're in. When the man is the head of the household, the woman is afraid to ask questions. And that fine print that Leah talked about, yes, the money is guaranteed, but how long is the payment period? When are you going to get it back? Are you the person in the account as well as is it going to you? Many women don't know the passwords for things. They don't know where the documents are. And let's say your partner passes away suddenly. You don't know where the documents are to even know how to start the conversation, who to go to. And this is why having a financial advisor, even if for a short time, just to help you plan out things and to get you started, is so important. Financial wellness is not something, is like she said, not a DIY project. It's not something you should do on your own. Yes, have that conversation with your partner and plan. If something happened to you, can I have access to the documents? Am I the person on the account? Am I the only person on the account? What happens to the children? Okay, if both of us pass at the same time, what happens to them? Who's taking care of them? And Nolia is going to talk about the living trust. I really want to get into that conversation as well because many of us know, okay, we should have a will. I learned from her a will is not the only thing you should have. It's it could be challenged. So there's so many conversations that could happen. And again, it depends on the country that you're in and what your situation is, what the laws are in the states. Each state has a different law, and you may not know what that is. You may move to another state, and the laws are different. So this is why having a financial advisor, even for a short period, 3 months or so, where you get set up, is so vital. Yeah, I saw that you came up with.
Yeah, that's so brilliant, Miss Lisa. I want to highlight something you said, and that is, looking at your passwords and stuff. And I would also encourage all of you to right now, don't pass go, don't collect $200, check all of your beneficiaries. Because I get calls from people that didn't know the beneficiary was an ex-girlfriend, the beneficiary was an ex-spouse, the beneficiary was nobody, and now they have a mess. They have a trust and they meant to put it in the trust. So there's a lot of crazy things that happen. So check all of your beneficiaries and make sure that they're current and up to date. That was brilliant, Lisa.
You're on mute, Annie.
I'm not talking. I'm asking where is Joni? Joni is here. There you go, Joni.
Hi guys. First I just want to highlight what Paulette said in the beginning about kind of women do bear the brunt of a lot of kind of emotional decisions for the household. And we also get the miracle of having children. So, I mean, it's a gift, but it is also can be really hard, especially if you go through a divorce like me. And so, for instance, my parents had given us a little bit of money. And my dad had the foresight to just put it under my name instead of my ex-husband's name. And I was like, why would you do that? He was like, I don't know. I just want to do that. I was like, okay. And thank gosh, because I used part of that money and part of my 401k to buy this home that I live in. And that is a really important thing. So I really agree with Leah saying keep your assets separately. You never know what could happen. And you need to have those in case of emergency. Another small point, I have 2 cars, both registered under my business name. So if anyone comes after me, they can't take my cars. So, and it's not that hard to register a business, but my cars are registered under my business. That's an LLC. And so that is one thing I did just because I've, having to go through a lot of financial duress for a long time. And also, there's a lot of banks out there for, your everyday spending that are online banks that you spend not even that much and you get a $5 reward. That's cash reward. It's like nothing. It means nothing to them. It's a transaction fee. But you claim that reward right when it comes. Like I have a regular account with Chase, but then I also have an account with Step. It's kind of geared towards children and allowance, but I get gas and I get $5 back. And the same goes for any sort of rewards program. You're at Walgreens, they're like, you have $1 extra on your account. You want to use it? Yeah, I want to use it right now. Because like, why do you want to accumulate this money? Like, use it right now. You're going to wait for a rainy day. Don't do that. Just always get that money right back in your account. And I really do think that women should be more proactive in protecting themselves, especially financially, because the devastation can come. And I'm not saying, it will. It did for me, but it can. And it's a really, really hard thing to go through when you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you don't know where money's coming from, and you're figuring out, different government programs, which you should do too, even if you are wealthy. Figure out the government programs and really try to diversify whatever you invest in. I don't implicitly give my money over to my financial advisor, but I have checked for sure. All of my beneficiaries are my 3 children. And, the extra 1% goes to my dogs. And so anyways, it's a really scary thing to feel like really strapped for cash. And so take advantage of those little opportunities and explore other banks for sure, because maybe one will have a better yield than your current bank. And there's a lot that offer incentives. So, and guys, just be careful out there, because even if you're in menopause, some guys can be real creepy guys. And I'll have more on that later. But there are guys who are creepy. And so just protect yourself. And I'm fine. I'm fine. But
Thanks, Joni. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that for next show for sure. But something you said was really interesting. Putting your assets in your company's name so that if someone comes at you, they don't get your assets. And I think, Leah, that should be part of another show that we do, talking about the business aspect of it. So I love that. I want to hold that for our next show for sure.
It's not hard. I mean, it's you register with your state, you get a business licensure, you have to, make sure it's all legit. But both my cars are under my company, so
yeah,
nothing can happen.
Yeah. Well, I want to do a part 2 with Leah, so I want you to come back and share that with us as well. So thank you for that. Leah, you want to respond to anything that she shared so much? Anything you want to add to it?
Well, I can't comment about the men aspect, but we'll hold that for the next conversation. Dating and money and women or something. I'm not really sure what it will be called. But yeah, I mean, I adore you, Joni. You're speaking from experience. And oftentimes I will say this: women generally do not handle any of the finances. They defer to their husband or their partner. But we outlive our spouses most of the times. We live longer, or we end up divorced. And then we have to deal with the money, and we don't know anything about money. I mean, I used to have this happen to me just every now and then, but it's almost a weekly and a daily thing where a woman will come to me. I was married for 30 years. I was married for 40 years. I was married for 50 years. My husband passed away. We're divorced now, and I've never dealt with the money, and I have no idea what to do with it. And that can be a very daunting and scary conversation. But remember this.
I know the laws of alimony. 50 years, you're gonna get alimony for the rest of your life. That's why my husband divorced me at 9, so he got 3 years of alimony.
See, here's another thing.
Know the laws of your state. Again, I know what you're saying. Be informed.
Yeah, be informed. A lot of times women don't take the initiative, and so they do get bamboozled. But that is another conversation. It might be along with the dating conversation. I'm not sure. But I would just really embrace this. Money is not math. So many people tell me I'm not a math person. Get a calculator. It is about a money mind shift. It is about your thinking, how you're thinking about your money. And there was a question up here. I'm not sure who asked it, but they asked, what type of credit card should I get? I would say very limited. Yes, I understand we need to build our credit. Don't use that as an excuse to have thousands and thousands of debt on your credit cards. If you have them, know yourself. Keep them for emergencies. An emergency is not, I need that purse. I want to go shopping. I need to buy some ice cream. That's not an emergency. It's really medical, life-threatening type of emergency, and really keep it to a minimum, because there are ways that you can build your credit without having 4 or 5 different credit cards. Those store credit cards are insidious. They're very high interest. They try to incentivize you all the time. I know they give you all the rewards and all that, but if you are going to actually use it and then pay it off, but I don't see anybody that ever does that. I'm going to tell you, I just don't. The people that I help usually are really not understanding credit cards, and they have huge balances, or they have no credit cards or minimal, and they don't use their credit cards at all. So hopefully that helps.
And don't you think, having, first of all, American Express here in the States, they will take care of you. They're the best. They will, if something happens, your account gets hacked, they will take care of you. But you pay it off every month. If you can't pay it off every month, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. And, honestly, you get to a point in your life and materialism doesn't matter. So going to the store and getting that, new pair of Louboutins, who cares? No, I'm not looking at your shoes. I'd rather wear some just kicks that I had from back in the day. And so, it really, your mindset does shift. And that's exactly what you're talking about, Leah.
Yeah. This is a great question here from Satya. Hope I'm not butchering your name. What is your relationship with money? I love this question. My relationship with money, think about it this way. If you treated a friend and spoke to a friend the way that we treat and speak to money, how great of a relationship would that be? I write love letters to money. Yes, I do. And you know what? I also write letters to ask money for forgiveness. I'm so sorry that you tried to come to me and then I wasn't really being aware. I didn't really take advantage of that opportunity that you were sharing with me. And I appreciate the money that I have. So that's one thing that I do. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but just how do you think about money? If you say that money is evil, but then you're working so hard, well, do you think money's going to really want to come and visit you if you're saying money's evil all the time? If we're saying that only rich people are, they're snobby, they're stingy, then are we going to really have abundance? And listen, I want you to understand something. And I like all the physical things, Joni. I haven't got to that age yet where it's not important to me, okay? But I believe that true wealth is having prosperity in all your life areas, in your faith, Because when you have more money, you can give more money. You can give more money to your church. You can start a nonprofit and all the philanthropic things that we love. Our family. Listen, I love my family, and I can do a lot of free things with my family, which is one of my favorite F words, right? I love free things. But it's also fun to be able to go places where you got to spend some money, where you could go to dinner and not have to worry about looking at how much things cost, where you could go on vacation and do the fun excursions and stuff. So our faith, our family, our finances, right? We got to be good stewards of our money and our fitness. Listen, if we're trying to get wealthy, but we are not taking care of our temple, and I've heard this said many times, if you chase all your wealth and forego your health, you're going to spend all your wealth to get back your health. So we got to be good stewards of our health also. And then we got to have fun. Fun is funner when we've got some money and we can spend some things and not worry and stress or put it on a credit card. And see, I don't believe in sacrifice. A lot of times people tell me, well, you know, if I'm going to have this vacation, I have to sacrifice. I just think we should banish that word. I call it an exchange principle. And if you're a mom or you're a parent and you have kids and they want to have things, then talk to them about an exchange principle. Maybe we will forego going through the drive-through. Maybe we won't do that extra, movie night, and let's put that money in exchange. We're going to squirrel that money away for the vacation that we want in 3 months or 6 months. And when you get children involved in that, you're going to watch how very creative that they are. And they will literally say, well, I will forego this because I want the other thing, right? And that teaches them delayed gratification. I know we don't talk about that. A lot of us want
That's such a good idea, though.
so many of us.
To
Go
get your
ahead.
kids involved. No, I just love that idea because, Paulette was talking about, your plan for that vacation, but when you retire. And a lot of us have those plans. We'll work hard, and we'll have that fun when we retire. But tomorrow isn't promised to us. Suppose we never make it to that retirement age. What are we doing now for fun? So to forego those little things that we could save money on, the extra takeouts or the extra movie night or, shopping in the mall, and getting the kids involved. Okay, yes, it's fun to go with your friends on a Friday to the mall and spend. But what about a family vacation? Let's save to that. So you get them thinking, okay, I'm going to forego those little things because I want the big thing, which means I'm going to save more. I'm going to plan better. It's all about, going back to that plan. But now it's a family conversation in it. So I just thought that was such a brilliant thing to get them started in that money conversation from early, but also to plan that fun instead of waiting until 60 or 70 when that isn't promised. I just love that idea.
Well, and
And Annie, if you're talking,
it's
you're on mute.
oh, sorry.
Sorry, I saw Annie going on.
I think Paulette has spoken to this like a few times. I just like having that digital like time off. And like if we are honest with ourselves, like thinking back on our childhood, what are the times like we remember best with our parents? Whereas, just spending some time with them. I can't remember the Christmas gifts I got. Like I remember one doll I got that I liked, but I didn't really care. I remember, doing trips with them and fighting with my sisters in the backseat of our Volvo station wagon. And for my kids, I really do whatever money I have, even if it's not a lot, like I really do try to put it towards experiential things because they'll remember that better. Like we went to, just for an overnight, which it's not far from here, but the Mississippi River, and read Tom Sawyer. And I'm sure they're going to remember that. I also visited a client while I was out there, so I got to expense that. And but like I remember those memories, growing up. So if you can like think of like good memories, either with friends or with family. It doesn't matter. Like it was experiential, and so you don't need to buy your kids a ton of crap. Like you can go to the dollar store, yo. Like I mean, they don't care. They're kids. They give them some bubbles. Oh my god, amazing! This truck is amazing. I'm like, yeah, $2. So, anyways, but yes, be very conscious on planning and helping your kids plan and helping those experiences.
Yeah, I love that, Joni. And you know, the more that we get our kids involved, they will take so much pride in going to that dollar store. Like my precious grandson, he gathers up all the coins. I sprinkle coins in the yard, and he knows now that it's me. When he was little, he didn't know, and so he'd go out in the yard and he would gather up all these coins and put them into his little piggy bank. And I'm telling you, he's so excited to go to the dollar store. I say, okay, mijos, go get your money, and he'll go get his money. He knows where the dollars are. He knows where the coins are, and we have to ask mommy how much money he could spend. But if he spends $2, well, now it's like the $1.25 store, so he needs about $3. But you know, the pride that kids have in picking out and having to make the decision, that choice of what they're going to select for those dollars, it's so empowering to our children, and also it's helping them to flip the script. And when we can do that, that's when we can really start to change our family's legacy. We can really change our last name forever, because we're changing their money mind shift. So that was brilliant, Joni. Thank you.
It's so true. It's empowering. And don't forget, to flip a penny onto the head side. So someone has a lucky day. Some little kid will, if you see a penny laying on the ground, flip it on the head side. That's kids love that. And that's just something special to do.
Any on mute, my friend?
I'm deliberately on mute, Lisa.
Oh.
I don't want.
No, I'm seeing you talking. Sorry, I'm seeing your mouth open.
I'm always agreeing. So I don't want to need to hear me necessarily. Dr. Roxana, welcome. Dr. Roxana, I'm so glad you're here. Dr. Roxana's next book, I'm sure you love it, Leah, is 55 passive income ideas.
Ooh, we love massive passive income. MPI is what I call that. I'd love to kind of circle back to the conversation about women's health and menopause and how money really relates to that. And I just believe that we have to understand how our health insurance works. We have to understand, can we get disability insurance? Do we need disability insurance? Are there strategies that we can have? You can own in the US, I don't know if this is true anywhere, but in the US, you can have life insurance that has living benefits, so that if you should get sick, have a major diagnosis like cancer, heart attack, stroke, or a chronic illness like a major accident, right, where you can't work for at least 90 days. I have clients who've received checks for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I have a roofer who's a roofer, right? He doesn't have disability insurance, and he had a heart attack. His medical bills were over $350,000. And because he had the plan that I showed him to get, his out-of-pocket was $1,500. But by the way, he received a check for over $200,000 cash paid to him, because he had life insurance with living benefits. And that money, you could do whatever you want with it. He could pay his deductible. He could put it in the bank. He actually ended up investing it because he didn't need it, right? His health was good. He got everything he needed to take care of his health. So understanding that there's things that we can put in place to take care of us, because we as women are going to live longer, and we're the caretaker. And women, let me say something to you, and I mean this out of all due respect. All due respect. Many women tell me that their family is going to take care of them when they are old and gray and they can no longer care for themselves. But I implore you, please do not depend on your family. Don't put that burden on them if it is at all preventable, because you're talking about them doing all the things to care for you. And I'm not going to break that all down, but you know what I'm talking about. I've watched families be completely destroyed because somebody is caring for the family, for the loved one, and the other siblings are not. And now suddenly that health of the caretaker is now been compromised. One of my good friends, her significant other was taking care of her parents. And she ended up getting injured because she was trying to care for her aging parents. So don't put that burden on your children, because that means that either they're going to have to either retire early, forego their income. I mean, are they going to have enough assets to be able to care for you? And it's just something that you don't want the last memory, your children's last memories of wiping the dribble off of your chin. And I'm going to leave it there. Go ahead, Miss Paulette.
It's two things that I wanted to. I was on a phone call. Sorry, I had an upset person, so I had to deal with it. So two things. The first one is, and this is a true story. My brother's wife's mum has very debilitated dementia, and she had a heart attack, and the father was looking after her at home plus 4 carers. The 4 carers were paid for out of her pensions, disability, and topped up by the family, by him. When out of the blue, the carers couldn't get in one day, they found him in dead bed. He'd had a heart attack. So the mum was in the lounge in one of these beds with big sides on it. So she doesn't move barely because of her disability. It's the whole of one side. Bless her heart, she weighs about 5 stone. She's had COVID 4 times and survived, which is unbelievable. Now, here comes the situation. They are paying £10,000 a month for her to be in a nice care home. They sold the family house. The family house, there was no will, which is a disaster. The first things first, no will. Because the dad said, do you know what the dad said? If you write a will, you're asking to die. Well, where's that one come from, right? Sounds like one of that, like you said at the beginning, Lisa, you know? So he wouldn't write a will. He died very suddenly, very shockingly, out of the blue. Suddenly there's mum in the lounge. What are we going to do with mum, right? Neither of the 2 girls were in a position to look after her, had to go into care home. 90% of the care homes they went to look at through the NHS made them cringe and just, couldn't bear it. They found a really nice one. They put her in there and they said it's going to be £10,000 a month. And she was like, but my mum's really poorly and she probably isn't going to last. Is it end of life care or what is it? And they were like, no, we think she could last quite a while. We're going to feed her through a tube in her stomach. It's like, why? Like, why are you feed? Because she's alive. Her heart's beating. So we have to feed her through a tube in her stomach and da-da-da-da-da. It seems completely cruel to me, but there you are. They have burned through £400,000. It's gone. That was supposed to have been split between Debbie and her sister. Her sisters never owned her own house. This was the opportunity that was going to be for her to own her own house. That's gone. They're allowed, I think, 60,000 or something is the allowance the government say is left. So up till that point, they got 60 grand split. That's it. They had 20,000 in the bank, which they gave between the 5 grandchildren, 5,000 each, so that they had a present from the grandparents. And that's going to be the total of their inheritance. So it's just gone. Now they're in a position where there's no money. They want to move them to one of these other care homes. And Debbie is in such a state about moving her mum that they are looking to sell a property so that they can actually fund the continued care, because Debbie doesn't want to see her mum moved. Now, I understand that, but I just think it's like taking, £50 notes and just saying fire to them. I understand that compassion. I do. I am a passionate person, but there comes a point where I'm like, this is just horrendous, right? So that's the first thing to consider. The second thing was I had a key personnel insurance as part of my directorship. And the key personnel insurance had a critical illness part of the cover, which is what you're talking about. And when they diagnosed me with the bone condition, that was a critical illness condition. So they paid out. Now, the £1 million that was supposed to be for death in service, I wouldn't get because I wasn't dying. But the critical illness element of that paid out, I think it was about 170,000, something like that. But it was a big chunk of money, enough to clear the mortgage, you know? So these are the things that you think, okay, I'm retired. I've got my dividend income, but that's it. I don't get any pensions. I don't get anything because I'm not going to get that till I'm 68. So that is another 8 years away. So I've got a while to wait for that. It's ridiculous. So, you know, the disability that I have doesn't qualify me for any kind of support at all. Charles is my carer, is the word they use, because you've got someone who's there, who is also retired. He is in a position to look after me. So therefore that covers that one off. Tick, I haven't got to worry about you there. So I could probably squeeze some money out of somebody somewhere, but we're okay. So we don't need to worry about it. If I had a big mortgage, there's no way I'd be okay. We would have to have sold down our house. No question. Now, the property that we've bought recently, a small little property, we bought in Ben's name. Because he's now 21, he can have it in his name. So that's his now. So we've done right by him, but also it's taken out of the estate. And, you know, it's taken, that gift is to him for him. Now, yes, other people might say, well, you could do big holidays or whatever, but it was more important to me that while I'm alive, I am doing these things, not when I'm dead, right? So it's more important that we've set Ben up as a good start. Now, that doesn't mean that if Miss Floozy comes along, I haven't put the house has now gone into trust, you know, the pensions and the ISAs trust, you know, the shares trust, you know. Floozy is going to be, I mean, my husband's a very attractive man, and I'm sure that he would attract a very attractive non-Floozy-ish type of woman. But the point is, you know, in the event of me not being here, they will be lining up down the street, no question. The point is, when they find out that everything's in trust, there'll be a few less in line. That's all I'm saying. There'll be a few less in the line, right? So take note of what's being said, people, because as much as I'm making a joke of it, and Charles will give me grief later on for telling you about Miss Floozy, believe me. But you know what? The thing was, I couldn't talk to him for a whole journey home, 2 hours. I couldn't speak to the man because of his floozy that he didn't even have. But the point was, he might have it. And I know you're going to side with poor Charles because he puts up with so much. But the point is, you know, the floozy was my concern, but it got me fired up enough to take action, right? So yeah, you have to have these bad conversations about what if you fell off the roof, Mr. Roofer? What if you did this? What if you did that? Because you have to cover your bases, people. Because if you don't cover your bases, when crap happens, and listen, nobody expected it like I did. I never expected to be incapable of walking across the station platform. I never thought that would be me, right? I never thought I'd have a disability scooter. You know, I never thought I would. Now we call it a ride on tractor or on my ride on mower or whatever we call it. But the point is, you know, if I want to be involved in these boys' lives and catch and be alongside them, that's the only way I can do it. So I've had to go, okay, I accept it. I can walk around the house when I'm not falling over. I can walk around the house. But the point is, we don't know what is coming around the corner. When they say that C word, it's scary, right? I'm telling you, it's terrifying. When they say chemotherapy, it's another C word. That's pretty scary too. There are lots of words that happen to us that are very scary, okay? And if you don't cover those bases when they do happen, I'm old, so I can tell you I've experienced all the crap and in the bucket load, and I'm still standing. And what I've done is I've managed to make it okay that if I am gone, and I would like him to have a floozy, just don't tell him. But she's going to be a little bit poorer than she thought, okay? Because, you know, there ain't going to be much left in the pot because I've moved it, you know, it's gone. So she can come and live in my house, no problem, but it's only half his, you know, just so she knows.
I'm on my
That's the
way.
point, you
I'm
know.
on my way. I want those cups of coffee. Yours are always full, Paulette. Come on, your cup of coffee is always full. I want that coffee. I want Charles as well while I'm there. Forget the floozy. Yeah, you miss floozy. Forget her. Maybe any comes to live in your house with, you know, with your pet and Charles. I'm just saying. Hashtag.
I
I'm
love
so
all
well
of that.
looked after.
I love all of that. And really, what in my mind, what you're talking about is giving your family a hand up and not a hand out. See, if all we do is have a bunch of money just to disperse it all when we're passed away, in my humble opinion, that is not creating generational wealth. And every generation has to start over. It's building that family legacy so that they have something that they are not starting from zero. Because I would like all of you to ask yourself this question. What if somebody had carved out a family legacy for you, a family dynasty? Something that if you, when you wanted to buy a car, you didn't have to go to a bank and look at your credit score and have somebody justify your income. That when you wanted to start a business or buy a home, you had assets that you could have access to just by virtue of your last name. That's creating a family dynasty and putting those bumper guards on it so that there are things that they have to do and things that they must not do in order to get access to that. So that's really what I love to talk about. And we can't do that if we are still getting ourselves tricked up. We don't have the proper health insurance. We don't have any living benefits. We don't have a living trust. And Miss Lucy's going to come by and squirrel it all away. And that ain't happening because now you know Miss Lucy is a real thing, right? We all know about
it. Any is my name with Miss Lucy.
Are you going to be known as Annie the
Right.
Floozy?
Yeah.
Oh my
Serious?
God.
Annie the Floozy.
I
Definitely.
think we should call him that from now on, Annie the Floozy. But you know, Paulette brought up something. You know, yes, the big C is scary, but what comes after is the medication you have to pay for.
It's a tattoo.
If you live long enough for that, great. You know, I have I rock mine all the time, but you have to pay for the meds, you have to pay for the tests. Paulette talked about the mobility scooter, that has a cost. If you can't afford for those things, then what is the next step? What is the plan? And that could happen to any of us at any time. So it's just for this conversation to hopefully inspire whoever's listening that, okay, if I don't have a plan, it's not too late. Let's get a financial advisor. And I would highly recommend Leah, just to figure out, okay, what are my options? It may be we're in a different country. I know in the States, you all have like 1 million credit cards. We don't have those options where I am. So I don't have, you know, the same stressors with having to pay this credit card with that next credit card, you know, and it's a never-ending cycle. But to figure out, hey, what do I owe? What do I have? What do I have to pay out? What debts do I have? You know, it can be really challenging and really stressful when you have to take care of the home and your work and you have other things going on. But that's why it's so important to not be afraid of the conversation. You know, if you have to talk about the floozy, talk about the floozy, but the conversation needs to be had. And I just wanted to touch on a question that Charito asked earlier. I'm not sure if she's still here, but she's asking, post-menopause, is there a feeling of fear and you need to double up on money because it seems like the end of life is near? Or instead, are we just enjoying life with what you have? I think it will be nice to enjoy life with what you have, but also plan for how much ever years you have left. Am I retired or do I want another job or a side hustle? Do I want to go back to school? You know, do I want to travel? Do I own my home or do I still have mortgage payments to make? If I die, who's going to take care of those mortgage payments? Is it in somebody else's name, so am I now burdening somebody else? You know, it's questions that we need to ask ourselves, especially since, yes, women generally live longer than men, but as soon as we enter into menopause, our risk for heart disease goes up. We're more prone to cancers, we're more prone to diabetes, and diabetes puts us at risk for a lot of other things like kidney failures, like a straight road to kidney failure, a straight road to heart disease. So all of those health questions, it's challenging, it's not a nice conversation, but sitting on, okay, what is the plan? Where do I want to go? Let's say I'm planning for the next 20 years of my life. What life do I want for myself? What quality of life do I have now and how can I improve it? I think it's, if anything you get from this conversation is let's sit and have the plan and it's never too late.
You know what? One other thing, when you go through menopause, the risk for finding a normal guy goes way down. So we can
We need to have another conversation with us.
time.
Oh yeah, it's important.
Let me, if you guys know about real estate and it's really important to pay off your home, yes, but it's more important to kind of use some of those assets to maybe buy some land somewhere that's valuable, and you can put up a small home for not a lot of money these days and rent it out on Airbnb. And so that's just an idea. If you are, you know, in your 40s, 50s, and you're going through a divorce, like that could be a real thing that you could do. You could put it under your business name. And also, I promise in the United States, if you don't have health insurance in a real emergency, you go in the hospital, they have to. It's by law. They will take care of you. They're not going to give you cancer treatment at all, but they will take care of you if you're in a car accident or you've fallen down the stairs or something. My whole family's nurses or doctors, and so they have a large amount of knowledge from the emergency room where people do not pay their bills. So it's simply not the right plan to have, but in the event that you are scared, you can go to the emergency room and someone will help you.
Thank you, Jody. There are a couple of questions. I don't know if you want to reply to Jody. Alicia, thanks for joining us. There's many other people who joined us. I'll leave that question for you for a second. There's some great comments, and I'm not going to get to all of them, I don't think. Coach David, thanks for joining us. Lots of learning. Thanks for sharing all. Thank you so much for being here. Dr. Marcia, I see you as well. Thank you all for joining us. Who else do I see? But I think that big question from Alicia is an important one for me. I'm hoping part 2 is going to be talking more about the mind side of things. Queen Leah and Lisa. I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
we definitely need to have a part two for sure. So I would say this about the business. The biggest mistake I see business owners make, entrepreneurs, is that they are still filing their taxes as a sole proprietor. And when you're doing that, all of your personal assets are exposed. So in order to start dividing them, yes, you can do an LLC, but usually, and that's good until you start having cash flow. Well, I'm talking US of probably $40,000 to $50,000. Once you start having positive cash flow, then you start looking at setting up corporations. But definitely, if you're a sole proprietor and you own a home or any other assets, all of your assets are exposed if you're filing as a sole proprietor. There's no corporate veil. So we could definitely have a deep dive just for business owners. I would love to do that. That's my specialty. That's where it gets really, really fun. But this was a great conversation. I appreciated all of the comments. Love, hate with money. What do you mean, Michelle? Say more about that.
She has a love-hate relationship with money. Which
Oh.
one? Yeah. Well, now, where are we trying to get to? What's the right mindset is the question.
I call that putting the gas and the brake at the same time. Guess what happens if you put the gas and the brake at the same time on your car?
Oh, doesn't move. Nothing happens.
Destroy the engine. Yeah, we got to definitely have a coffee chat, Michelle. But this was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the conversation. I enjoyed the participation. It's an honor always to share the stage with you, Miss Lisa and Miss Queen Paulette, and of course, Annie, our godfather, and will make us famous, and Joni. Everything we do, like everywhere I go, I'm seeing you, and we had a great event. If you didn't see my interview with her, she brought the fire. She brought all of her golden nuggets. Go back and rewatch it. Her shorts are the #1 on my YouTube. So you got to check out her shorts on my YouTube. Boop, boop, boop. The Wall of Wealth. That's right. I think we got to do a part 2, Joe. We got to do a part 2.
There are a couple of great comments. Yeah, Shades, welcome. So I'm glad you're here. I saw you from earlier. I just waited till now to get you on stage on screen. It's a long message, that's why. So yeah, so the energy of abundance needs to be nurtured every day, supported by daily life living habits. Though empathetically, we are hardly taught how to do this in our education systems. But can we find a way to do something a little every day, feeding the energy of the multiplying penny, seeking knowledge and guidance helps too. Totally agree, Queen Leah. Yes. Yeah. No, so I think it is saving those pennies. In the UK, we say the penny, count the pennies to make the pounds. Something like that, right, Paulette? Save the pennies and
save the pennies and they'll become pounds.
Yes, exactly that. I think there's one from Natalie.
That's tell your kids, bring a penny that's really shiny and be like, "I'll give this to you. You give me a nickel. Give it back." I don't care how the condition of a nickel, but here's a really shiny one. It's your birth year. No, yeah, I'm not telling that. But
it's all right. There's another one from John Shades. This is one I wanted to show Shades. The second one came up on my screen first. Don't ask me how. But thank you for insightful conversation. My mother and father lived by the philosophy. I'm not going to try and pronounce it in my language, Shona. Do today to feed the plan of tomorrow. My parents planned for 50 years ago as entrepreneurs. For what my remaining mother enjoys and invests in current and future generations. They inspire me to continue learning from experts like Queen Leah and more amazing mentors, and intentionally putting things in place for my future sustainability and overflow. That's abundance, right, Queen Leah? That's abundance right there.
Yeah, I love
like
that.
Nepo baby. Nepo baby there.
What's that?
Nepo baby right there. That's a child who's living off their parents. I'm kidding. I
love that. Planning for generations. You know, I heard this quote and I think it's just so relevant here, especially with Chesda's I saw Chorito. Chesda's message, and that is, you know, the rich and wealthy, they plan for generations, but the average family, we plan for Saturday night. And that's when we have to flip the script and start seeing bigger than just us. And I'm not saying that we sacrifice, because, I don't believe in sacrifice, that we don't have any fun, that we don't do anything, we don't have any enjoyment so that we can leave assets to our children. What I'm saying is that we can do both, but it takes planning. I call it a 2-for-1, and Joe talked about it, having a 2-for-1 special. You can do, a lot of times you can do 2 things with the same dollar. I call it using the same dollar twice. And we're not even going to dive into that because we're way over time, but I'm excited for part 2. I don't know if it's part 3. I'm not really sure where this is going, but we got a lot of great interactions and I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
We're going to convert the room into, the Queen Leah's room, and some menopause conversations and bits, right? I think, look, the one thing I've learned, Queen Leah, is that the US has an amazing life insurance scheme that we don't have anywhere else in the world, probably. In the UK, you put your money in, they wait till you die, then you might get some back. I say, you might get some, or you might get some critical illness cover like Paulette has, for example, or accidental illness cover, right? In the US, you can literally put your money into life insurance, take it out, spend it, and still have the cover. How amazing is that? People build wealth in the US, literally. That's how the Rothschild started. I'm saying they die, the life insurance gives them millions. And so you build the wealth. The generations ahead I will never know why some Americans are so against life insurance. I think it's a scam. How? Anyway, I want to leave you with Natalie's comment. I think it's quite useful.
Well, and Annie, your comment is basically always keep questioning. Always, and that's all of your guys' sentiment. Always question, always make sure that you have the right, beneficiaries, make sure that you are at the right bank. So that was my takeaway. So that's all I'm going to say.
That's a good one, my friend. That's a good one. No, so Natalie says sustainable finance habits. Don't use credit. Let's use credit sensibly. I'm sure you're going to say, Queen Leah, debt is never a good thing. When you're young, debt can be manageable. It can be your source of investing, right? It can be your vehicle for growth. You have to risk to make money. You have to invest to make money. You have to. Sometimes it depends how you know. I'll let you explain more, Queen Leah. You know more than I do. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I respectfully disagree. I know there's a lot of people who say, get a house, take out the equity, buy another house and do those things. And, that can be really sexy. However, I do believe, and I'm going to stand by it because I've seen people, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. And the people who don't have one house paid off in cash that is completely paid off and they think they're going to retire and go off into the sunset, end up having a problem. If you still got debt and everything's leveraged, there's going to be something that'll happen. You'll live too long, you'll die too soon, or you'll get sick. One of those is going to happen and it's going to throw everything off. And again, I'm going to go with, I believe that we can have wealth without risk. I teach it to my clients. I do it myself. We can grow our money without ever risking our principal. That's our seed money. We have to protect the seed money. If your seed money can be lost, then you're not protected, right? Protect the seed, live off the interest. But people don't know how to do that. And I will say this, if you're not in the US, but you do have a business in the US or you come to the US, you may qualify to have the life insurance that we have here in the US. Just so you know, Annie, there is opportunity. It's called foreign nationals, okay? So there's definitely opportunity. This may be a whole series. I don't know. You guys get me fired up here.
I was saying, why don't you dedicate it to you on finance, right? Might as well. We love Lisa as well. So we'll talk menopause every so often in between the finance conversations. How's that? And look, my friend,
Can I just say one thing, Annie?
Yeah.
One quick thing.
Mhm.
The one thing that I would say, and I'm sure that Lisa would agree, when I got what I would call the main symptoms of both fibromyalgia and the menopause, that I shouldn't have had really because I'd had a hysterectomy. But the point was something was going on with my hormones and it sent me into wildfire. The point was that when all that happened, do you know, I couldn't, somebody who could manage numbers 6, 10, 12 long as a trader couldn't even add 2 and 2 together. The brain fog was so heavy and so thick, I just couldn't see at all. And I wanted to just say that when that happens, you need someone around you who you can talk to, who can support you and can say, it's okay. It's perfectly normal. And that's what I believe Lisa does so beautifully. Lisa's the one that says, this is normal. She normalizes the weird stuff, right? And she normalizes it in such a way that you go, oh, other people get this too? It's not just me. That's great, you know? So I think that when you've got your finances in order and you've got your mental state in order, and your mind is crucial to this, and I think we definitely need to go back to the mind work, because a lot of this, and especially menopausal women, we do have this brain fog, and when we have it, we can't make these big decisions. We need a Leah to tell us what we should be doing. So guys, when you have experts in the room, and I'm not an expert, I'm just a problem, but what I am saying to you is, you've got 2 people here. Well, you've got Floozy Annie as well, but I mean, and obviously Joe puts huge input. But when you've got people in the room like Queen Leah and Queen and I'm going to call you Queen Lisa, or Dr. Lisa, as Annie does, you've got experts in the field. Experts, please use them. Don't go hunting around for someone to talk to. These are the people you talk to. All right. I had someone on the phone just now who was in a really bad way, and something out of the complete left fields happened to them, and it's rocked their world. And I'm going to phone them back now. The point I want to make is that we never know what's around the corner. That's why this is important. So I'm done on that one. I'm going to go. Love you all. Take care. Speak soon.
Paulette, who's making phone calls at midnight to help people out. We all need a Paulette.
Thank you so much, Paulette.
Thank you. Thank you so
And
much.
Paulette, she's gone, but you know, I do have 2 graduate degrees, so you could call me Professor Joe if you would like. I mean, I also have an MBA, so you know,
my screen's gone funny.
I prefer Joe. I'm not going to put it like you know, my title. Sorry, guys.
But this is why I love LinkedIn. This is why I love LinkedIn.
Yeah, okay, we're back again. There are a couple of comments. I lost myself. Where's that gone? Damn. Charito was being very nice about you, of course. Oh, Deirdre, you've joined us. How you doing, Deirdre? Long time. It's been a minute, is what my friends say these days. Yeah, it's been like about 6 months more, like Deirdre, not a minute. So I'm glad you're here. So it's lovely, Lisa. Lisa's wonderful. Yeah, she's that person, right? Charita said something very, very similar as well. Michelle says she has to meet with you as well, Queen Leah. So Michelle B, if you need help connecting with her, then please do. There you go. That's the comment. So I'm not lying. I'm not making it up. You know, that's so true. So do connect with her in the comments afterwards, and then say, of course, do have a conversation. I'm sure you can help. I'm sure you can support her on what she's trying to achieve, right? David Jones, one half of Hello LLC, glad you're here. And you notice Queen Leah's events. I think it's at your website behind us. Is that your website, or is that just background?
No, they could have my QR code right there, and I have Wealthy Wednesdays, and I have Thursday to Thrive. I'm doing tax tips Tuesday now, on every other Tuesday, and of course we have our Mondays. What do we call those? Motivational Mondays with Eric and friends at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please download my free ebook, The Wall of Wealth, What Your Financial Guru Didn't Tell You. It is my one-page financial plan. It will help you to identify those booby traps that are hidden in your future.
Your one-page financial plan is it's not just one page. I've read it, so I know it's not one page. It's an ebook.
Well, I could put it on one page. I actually have it on one page. If you look to the end, it's all on one page. Yes, it is. But yes, it's multiple pages, but it's actually, I draw it out for my clients. You guys see it in a beautiful ebook. I literally draw it on a yellow notepad for my clients. And we go through it. All of my clients know about their wall. They know what their deficits are. They know what those booby traps are. They know what they can put in place to prevent them and to plan ahead and to really, avoid those booby traps. And what is a booby trap? Think about this. I said that word intentionally. I didn't say a speed bump. I didn't say a pothole. I said a booby trap. What is a booby trap? It is something that comes out and blindsides you. You are not expecting it. And the more that you try to undo it, the more tricked up you get. So let's don't do that. Let's don't do that.
Avoid those booby traps, right? You definitely should.
Does breast come out and blind you? I mean, come on. We're talking about menopause.
Dr. Lisa,
that also doesn't work in menopause. They go down. So
Dr. Lisa, you get to have
oh
the
my
last
gosh.
Tony, we're meeting after this, right? So don't disappear, please. That's so much for me here.
You guys are diehards.
I just gotta let the dogs out. But yes, I'm not disappearing.
Excellent.
Did you say hi to Liana, Annie?
Pardon?
Did you say hi to Liana?
No,
I saw and Divine.
I was trying. Yeah, no, I didn't see Divine.
Yeah, just want to say a quick hi to them.
Excellent.
Because I noticed them in the comments.
I can't see them on my screen. I can't.
Yeah, I know StreamYard is always doing this to us. But I just wanted to say a special thank you to Leah for all her wisdom that she dropped on us. Definitely going to have a part 2 because there was just so much information that we wanted to share. Definitely have to have a part 2. Thank you again, Annie and Paulette, for always supporting me, and to Joe for coming on stage. Thank you for those who watch live and who will watch on the replay. We will be back next 2 weeks for another topic on menopause. But if you are struggling with anything menopause related or women's health related, send me a DM. Let's have a conversation. Let's just have a chat and see how I can support you. Thank you again, everybody. Have a beautiful week, and we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Meanwhile, we appreciate Charita's kind words. Thank you so much, BF.
Always BFF.
You clarified some things for us. That's an important thing. And
yeah.
You as well. Thank you so much. Malia has to go. She has an appointment. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
See you in 2 weeks' time. So I'm going to play you outgoing music. Bye, everyone. Lisa's going to go in the comments and respond to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Every step forward is a new beat to your drama. She's success with global.media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. She's success with global.media.com.